Well, I guess for those of you that I don't know, first of all, I should mention my name is Ron Schaffner. I'm instructor, department chair in the Automotive Technology program. And I appreciate the invite to come and share a little bit about how donations have impacted our program. I've been now with Skagit Valley College in the program for going on 12 years. Certainly during my time, and I think even beyond that, this is the first time that we've received a specific donation to our program. But what it's really helped us do is kind of jumpstart to begin to offer new courses that we weren't able to do before. This is kind of an area that I've wanted to pursue for quite a few years, but getting over that hump to do that is oftentimes hard, especially when there's a lot of pieces of equipment involved, and oftentimes it's relatively expensive equipment. So this has really been a huge benefit to impact that. So what we were able to receive, so last fall we received generous donation of $50,000 from an individual in the community to be used towards, again, kind of a new area, so students could see something maybe that they didn't have an opportunity to do otherwise. And so the area that we decided to pursue was the area of engine machining and building. It's a very vibrant market in terms of performance, marine, industrial, agriculture. The production side isn't as high as it used to be, but where that's went down, the other areas have kind of raised up. So it's a lot of smaller shops, but kind of all over the place where they're just booming with business. So really feel like this is an area that students can have a niche market within the automotive market that they can go to work in. So what we were able to purchase were two different pieces of equipment. This one right here is a cylinder head pressure tester. It has a cylinder head installed in it right now. What we can do with that is within, even just in the automotive program in my engines class, we're going to incorporate this in there to start with. We deal with a lot of head gasket failure, for instance. So when a cylinder head comes off, we need to know that that cylinder head's in good condition, it's not warped, it's not cracked, that we can resurface it, reuse it in the engine. So what this does is allows us to put the head in there, we seal it off with a plate, we submerge it in a bed of solution, essentially it's a water solution with a mix in it. We pressurize it with air, and then it shows up if we have any cracks that are in there or any imperfections that would not allow us to be able to reuse it, or tell us at least that we need to repair it before we reuse it. So really useful, not even just in the automotive machining area, but even in the general automotive repair area. So that's one that we have, and I guess I can have you go through a few slides there. I apologize, I should have pared this down a little bit more from some of the slides, but so the bed rotates completely. It's air powered, submerges down in there. I've had some students that kind of just started on it last spring. We just got it last spring, and so right now I'm going to work that into my engine diagnosis and repair class, but we've already begun the process to modify the curriculum to offer a specific offering in this area starting next year. It's looking like that's going to move forward pretty easily. So it'll give students options basically at the end. So they'll have a track, they can go this direction or they can go a different direction if they choose to do that. So we're going to start out small, little chunks, 6-credit course. If it really goes well, we're able to build on some equipment. Then we expand that maybe, and the hope is that we can at some point have a standalone course. The hope also is that we can cover essentially every area of machining of an engine completely from start to finish, with maybe the exception of 1 or 2 pieces of equipment. So now this piece of equipment here is a cylinder head seat and guide machine. Really excited about this. Not inexpensive pieces of equipment, so it's great to be able to purchase a new piece of equipment. But basically anything that's related to rebuilding a cylinder head or repairing that cylinder head, this machine's able to do. Very precise, has a digital readout on top. We can replace valve guides, valve seats, recut those valve seat angles to any particular angle we want. We can do 3 angles all at once. We can do performance modifications to the cylinder head with that, where we can open it up and help it to flow a little bit better. A couple students used it for their own special projects. There's actually a couple students that graduated last year, and he has his own cylinder heads on there of an engine that I let him bring in so he could start that rebuilding process. And so he was installing new guides in there, and he cut the seats. And so it was really a walkthrough process with them because I hadn't had a chance to cover it in class, but they loved it, and it was a great experience for them to do that. Beyond this equipment, what we've done is kind of in preparation, I had a few modifications done in the shop where we put some infrastructure in. We put in a short stub wall with some power in anticipation of some additional equipment. And we're really looking at all avenues at this point where, I'm looking at used possibilities as well as new, working with businesses that potentially might want to donate some of their used equipment, good used equipment, where we could get started at least, and then go from there, to build on that. So at least we have something to get going in that area and then build from there. But, again, we hope to grow as quickly as we can in the area, because the quicker we can grow with that, the more we can offer the students, and again, the more prepared they would be to, I guess, be in this industry. So I'm talking really fast, I know. A lot of info. Questions? Can I answer questions you might have about the area or where we're going? Or?
So when your students are, in your class, what are they looking forward to as far as the use of all this knowledge and the skills?
So career opportunities, I guess, in this area would be anything from performance shops that really deal primarily with, customers that are anything from weekend racers to even beyond that. Restoration type of shops, they do a lot of engine rebuilding and even custom engine builds. That's part of this too. Not only just learning how to use the piece of equipment, but also learning what modifications can you make that would benefit that particular engine. Or, if I'm going to custom build an engine essentially from the ground up, what pieces and parts are going to work well together, and how can I maybe even machine and modify a piece to make it work on this application and so forth. So it really can get relatively involved if we're able to take it there. And I think that that's where it can be really exciting. I know that's one of the areas that brought me into the industry is performance area, and so I love to be able to share that with students too, and I know that a lot of them are really excited about that too. So, and then there's that, and there's the agricultural area. We live in obviously a real large agricultural area, so there's a lot of that type of equipment that needs rebuilt or repaired and that kind of thing, and this would fall into that. So there's a handful of those shops in the area, right in our Mount Vernon and Mount Vernon area, and then actually up in Bellingham as well, and then south of here too. So one of the unique things I think is that if we're talking about like a full program that covers all of this, really isn't anything else right now, even in the state, that's covering all of that. There was years ago, and those that were there unfortunately closed because they didn't really change with how the industry changed. And I think that's the big key to it, is looking at where's the industry going and how can we teach them the skills that they need to continue, and even when the industry changes, and stay in that. So the shops that have done well at that, they're still out there, they're very vibrant, and those are the kinds of shops that we're targeting to send students to. So,
are these students first career people, or are a lot of these students second career coming back for retraining?
I'd probably say that the majority of them are first career, but we do always have every year a handful of retraining students. So it varies a little bit. From year to year it varies. Sometimes that ratio is a little higher. And then we do have quite a few too that I suppose would fit into the retraining to some degree, but because of our area again, we get a handful of former military students, they've done a career, for instance, and they're retiring. They're looking for a new career because they're relatively young still, ready to go out in the industry, and so considered an older student, but yet they're still going to have a good period of time in the industry. So,
could you cover any elements of the subject matter without this previous?
Only in theory, which is tough. You can to some degree. I did in terms of the cylinder head area. We talk about valve seat angles and what works, what doesn't work, and so forth. And certainly that's useful in terms of knowing what to look for to a certain degree. But I think like anything else in our industry, until they put their hands on it and they're able to do it, it really doesn't make a lot of sense sometimes, or it really perks them up when they're able to do that. So even in all the other areas we do, you talk about it in the classroom, and what you can cover in a classroom, in a week, you take them out in the shop, and probably in an hour it clicks, So that's why we're relatively heavy on what we do actually in the shop, So it's probably less than a quarter or 3/4 kind of thing. So they're hands-on very much. So.
I noticed you had a woman in the video.
Mhm.
Are there typically a few women in the courses?
There are. We always have some every year. It's a small percentage, and it's always kind of stay consistent there. So, total student numbers every year we're somewhere around 38 to 42, somewhere in thereabouts, and we usually have 2 to 3 female students every year. So.
And I'll say Ron is always great about opening up his shop doors and welcoming people in. So if you haven't been to the shop, it is fantastic to tour. It's a lot of fun. So
Yeah, come on down. We'll show you what we do. And
yeah.
so. Well, thanks so much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.